a major newspaper highlighting key issues in politics, business, sports, and entertainment, and give you a peek of what is making news today. I am INIOLUWA at ADEKOYA, and with me this morning is FLORENCE. And this morning I will be reviewing headlines from the Punch newspaper, the Earth newspaper, and the Daily Post newspaper, while my colleague on the other will be reviewing headlines from. We have stories also from the Punch, we have stories from this day, we have stories from the Guardian, and we have stories from the Daily newspaper. We will take a short break. When we return, we will go straight into our first set of headlines. Let's have you back and now switch into our first set of headlines, beginning from the Earth newspaper and talking into health agency uncovers worrying silent illness among pensioners. Taken stories from the Hope newspaper where we have INIOLUWA, APC chief Delisting has INIOLUWA for claiming pensioners finding gratuity. On the Earth newspaper, on Bishop Modakeke in historic peace homecoming. Taken stories from the Hope where we have Umari State, it is not yet southeast from the British president. Talking also on the Punch newspaper, also APC, accusing ability of hiding wanted Amotekun as commander. Still on the Hope where we have Super Eagles and Radio and the Lead Hand. Back to the Earth newspaper, it is OS, top officers for completed this process. I get a flight to the point where I have not that demand clinical trial to prove about progress. Still on the Earth newspaper, AFI declares Tuesday's nationwide strike. And of course, taken stories from the Punch where I have why I did not see NSS over unpaid salaries paid for research. And now I take a flight to join you on the Punch newspaper, Autumn, Aliyah trade wars over Benway's $100 billion loan. And of course, second presidency, Southeast presidency, let's vote as the sky, all details to Mali. Important presidency on the Punch newspaper, a dual recovery, no plan for replacement for each presidency. And of course, taken stories from the Punch where I have scholar at the State Teaching English Inclusion in School Curriculum. On the Punch newspaper, ABC slams Tinubu over pardon for drug trafficking. And of course, taken stories from the Punch where I have bank transfer over the related to a number. Talking Punch on APC Group slams Bala Mohammed over PDP's 2027 comeback plan. And of course, from the Tribune, I have Nancy at sea over release of 4,000 inmates. On the Daily Post newspaper, young Nigerians are losing hope in the future of the country as people express this concern. And of course, taken stories from Guardian, we have some social like their education, World Bank, IMF limited in your problem. And still taken stories from the Daily Post newspaper talking after strike. Tinubu government threatens no work, no pay. And lastly from my hand, I have set of drug resistant bacteria that keep rising. WHO1. And with that, we will take a short break. When we get back, we will give out the headlines and stories to you. So doing well. Luckily, you're finishing to off from IFR 1 way to the 7 of them, and the program is in the inside. I'm going to start with a story from the Hope newspaper where we have APC system or solution where INIOLUWA claims pensioners handle gratuity. Now the details. A picture of the All Progressive Congress APC Edwin Commission has lauded the Ondo State Governor Dr. Lucky Orilifon Ayedatiwa for retiring hope among senior citizens through the commencement of both gratuity payments to retired workers of the 2014 set. Commission in an interview with Hope described the gesture as a mark of responsive and compassionate leadership, noting that the long-awaited gratuity payment, which began today, would bring immense relief to pensioners who are enduring years of hardship. According to her, the governor's officials will have a far-reaching benefit, particularly to reviving small-scale businesses and improving the standard of living of many families. She said, these illustrated shows that Governor Ayedatiwa fully understands the plight and the financial struggle of our people. Many of these retirees are grounded at jobs who have been unable to make any meaningful impact due to financial difficulties. The payment will restore dignity, prolong their life, and stimulate entrepreneurship and employment of in the state. To particularly hail the positive impact of the initiative on women, paying many of them would use the gratuity fund to expand their businesses and continue and contribute to economic growth. For details of that story, see the newspaper Weekly Headline, APC Chief. Commission has Ayedatiwa for clearing pensioners handling gratuity. On the urging data, this is headline as important in Ondo Health Agency uncovers worrying silent illness among pensioners. And now see the details. The Ondo State Contributory Health Commission has reviewed alarming health statistics from its research medical assets, conducted during the verification exercise for pensioners across the three senatorial districts of the state. Speaking with management, Mrs. Precious Attorney, Director of Occupational Health at the Commission, said Attorney attended to 346 pensioners, comprising 201 males and 145 females. She displayed the article, out of those tested, 133 were hypertensive, while only 12 were diabetic. The medical outreach was carried out on the invitation of the Pension Transitional Department with the goal of promoting preventive health care among senior citizens. Beyond screening for blood pressure and sugar levels, the team also educated prisoners on healthy lifestyle habits. She also said she personally advised them to eat more fish and vegetables, drink 3 to 2 liters of water daily, rest properly, and sleep at least 7 to 8 hours per night. Mrs. Akini emphasized that many elderly people unknowingly live with chronic conditions, and such outreach programs help them detect health issues early. For more details on that story, check the administrator with the headline. Ondo Health Agency uncovers worrying silent illness among pensioners. Also speaking on health and competence, where we have NAFDAC demand clinical trials to approve herbal products. Now the details. The National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control has stated that no herbal product will receive full approval without undergoing prepared design clinical trials to scientifically prove its safety and efficacy. The agency is partnering with the Nigerian National Medical Development Agency to develop health medicine that meets international standards through evidence-based research and validation. In a statement signed by NAFDAC review consultant Sayo Akisola on Sunday, the Director General of NAFDAC, Professor Mojisola Adeyemi, said Nigerian herbal medicine practitioners are the experts to formulate safe and effective natural remedies comparable to global standards. However, she stressed that scientific validation through clinical trials remains the key requirement for approval. According to the World Health Organization, up to 80% of Africa's population rely on herbal remedies for primary health care. NAFDAC's new drive aims to bridge the gap between traditional practices and modern scientific evaluation to ensure local health products are safe, effective, and globally accepted. ADEKOYA explained that the agency currently operates two levels of approval for herbal medicine. The first in the listing approval granted after approval has been passed. Toxicologically safe tests in our laboratory. Such products are listed for 2 years and carry a NAFDAC number ending with the letter L. For details of that story, see the newspaper with the headline, NAFDAC demands clinical trial to approve about products. Now I take a flight to the country's paper or to NTC, accusing ability of hiding wanted Amotekun commander. Now to the details. The Austrian State Chapter of the All Progressive Congress accused Governor Ademola of allegedly abhorring the state commander of the Austrian Amotekun Corps, Adekunle Omoyele, who is reportedly wanted by the police over the killing of some residents of Akinlali community by officers of the security outfit. The opposition party consequently challenged Adeleke to cooperate fully with the police investigation and hand over Omoyele's allegation contained in a statement signed by the Austrian APC spokesperson Kola Olapisi and obtained in Osogbo recently, but however dismissed by the governor were insisted that the state would not interfere in ongoing investigations into the Akinlali killing. A recent report states that the Austrian Amotekun Corps has been in the news about 4 negative reasons since Tuesday, 30th September 2025, when its officers invaded Akinlali communities, such as residents, and allegedly killed 3 people. The incident drew widespread condemnation, and where the court moved an operation also prompted calls for arrest and prosecution of the authorities responsible for their act. For more details on that story, check the Punch newspaper with the headline Austrian agency accuses Ability of hiding wanted Amotekun commander. Here's again stories from the Punch and talking politics. We have Southeast presidency let voters decide the details in Mali. Now details. Labour Party's 2023 presidential candidate Peter Obi has fought Minister of Works David Umahi over his declaration that it is not yet the turn of the Southeast to produce Nigeria's president in 2027. Umahi, in an interview with the news agency of Nigeria on Sunday, called Southeast politicians to drop their presidential ambitions and rally behind President Bola Tinubu for re-election. Reacting to his media aid and national coordinator of the obedience movement worldwide, Dr. Yunus Santos, Obi said only the electorate, not political allies, have the power to decide who becomes president. Instead, it is a democratic setting, and it is the people who will decide who becomes the next president, and not individuals. Obi told the Punch in an exclusive phone interview, performance and track record will determine what the people want. That is how it should be. He added that while the debate over regional locations should not ordinarily dominate politics, it has become a reality in Nigeria. He says, ordinarily, we shouldn't be having talks about whether it should be a southern or northern candidate to be fair. But since it has really been established for the unity of the country, the status quo should remain. Umaru had earlier said Tinubu should be allowed to complete his constitutional term of 8 years in office before the South East can aspire to be president. For details of that story, see the country newspaper history headline, Southeast presidency, let voters decide, OBL Umaru. Still on the old newspaper, it is the HOF top official for completed state project. And now here's the details. As part of activities marking its 56th governor's third anniversary in office, accounting officers in ministries, departments, and agencies in the state public services, led by the state head of service, Dr. Folakemi Olomodobi, has embarked on an inspection tour of some newly completed and ongoing projects in the state. The production inspection tour, which was at the instance of Governor Abiodun Oyebanji, was attended by permanent secretaries, general managers, and executive secretaries of ministries, departments, and agencies, and MBAs in the state public service. Speaking during this tour, the head of service, Dr. Folakemi Olomodobi, explained that the exercise is part of the stewardship drive and accountability series of the present administration aimed at assessing government's performance in delivering services to the people. She expressed satisfaction with the quality of projects inspected during the tour, noting that all inspected projects have met expectations. Projects inspected by the team included the newly completed 21.6-kilometer INIOLUWA road, the 19-kilometer Ikere-Igala Odo road, the 19.8-kilometer Ado-Iwoloko-Isaki road, the newly completed 17.8-kilometer Ado-Ikirin road project, and the 12.4-kilometer Igala Odo-Ikobosi road project, as well as the 9.2-kilometer Oke-Oro-Ikoti Ilukuno road. For more details on that story, check the administrator with the headline, APPHOS sub-officials for completed state projects. Still taking place from the point where I have scholars advocate using English inclusion in school curriculum. Now the details. The United States-based language abstract structure for this disabled as for further inclusion of Nigerian speaking English in the national curriculum, describing the language as a vital unifying force and cultural aspect that reflects the nation's creativity and resilience. Police a former faculty member at the North Shore Community College and a former public school teacher in Lagos made a call in a research study on Nigerian speaking usage. The study was first presented at the Society of Speaking and Plural Language Conference in the United States in 2022 and later published in an academic volume in 2024. He observed that although attitudes towards Nigerian speaking vary, the language becomes an indispensable means of communication across social classes and media platforms, citing that BBC English speaking service serves as a major example of the growing influence. Nigerian speaking is more than just a language. It is a societal symbol that unites Nigeria. It reflects our history, resilience, and creativity, she said. Our research which examined instructions on public transport vehicles in Nigeria found that speaking expressions were often preferred to those in other languages. The expressions denoted commonly convey discrimination, protest, aggression, experience, and advice, demonstrating that the expressive power and cultural depth of the language. Police emphasized that Nigerian students possess proverb, idiom, humor, and linguistic patterns, the characteristics of a fully developed language, to maintain that incorporation with intercourse would enrich learning, validate students' life experience, and affirm the linguistic creativity born from the fusion of English and indigenous language. For details of that story, see the Punch newspaper weekly headline. Scholars advocate choosing English inclusion in the school curriculum. So on the English paper, as we declare students nationwide strike. Now to the details. The Academic Staff Union of Universities has announced a 2-week total and comprehensive warning strike across public universities in Nigeria. National President of the Union, Professor Chris Kiwuna, made this declaration recently during a press briefing held at the University of Abuja. He said, and I quote, "Completeness of the press, it goes without saying that there is nothing sufficient on ground to stop the implementation of the Act-in-Net resolution to embark on a 2-week warning strike at the expiry of the 14-day notice given on the 28th September 2025. Consequently, all branches of ASU are hereby directed to restore their services with effect from midnight on Monday, today, October 13, 2025. The warning strike shall be total and comprehensive as agreed at the last NEC meeting, Kiwuna stated. This declaration marks the new phase in the union face-off with the federal government despite recent efforts to reach a compromise. For more details on that story, check the old newspaper with the headline as it declares Kiwuna's nationwide strike. I have read from the point as well, and it says that why I did not see NFS over unpaid salary in this time. Now the details. Former Super Eagle head coach Sunday released and refused to take legal action against the Nigerian Football Federation over unpaid salaries because he did not want to be seen as fighting against the country. This country, the 51-year-old Pakistan disclosed that the NFF who holds him 26,000 sterling in unpaid salaries from his time in charge of the national team between 2015 and 2016. Speaking at the Home Tool podcast, he expressed frustration over the losing debt, but made it clear that he has chosen not to take legal action against the federation out of respect for his country. He says, "Till date, I am the only Nigerian coach who ever resigned. Until today, they are still owing me 2 months' salary, which is $26,000. The former league leader disclosed that many people have advised him to take the matter to the FIFA, the World Football Governing Body, but as he believes he has strong proof. A lot of people have asked me to take the NFF to court. If I take the case to FIFA, I will win. But when the news breaks, the headline won't say only for take FIFA or to take NFF to court. They will say Olisa takes Nigeria to court, and that is not something I want to be associated with. We can continue. Olisa tenure as a Super Eagles coach ended abruptly in 2016. Following disagreement with the NFF over unpaid salaries and alleged interference in team management. For details of that story, see the Punch newspaper weekly headline, "Why I did not see NFF over unpaid salaries," says police. Yes, on the Punch newspaper, Autumn Aliyah trade words over Benin's 100 billion days. And now to the details. The Matrix Governor, Asian Aliyah, and its producer, Samuel Autumn, as exchange words over the 100 billion naira loan recently approved by the State House of Assembly. The House, during an emergency plenary recently, approved the governor's request to obtain $100 billion naira loan to finance infrastructural projects across the state. According to the governor, the loan will be used to fund projects, including the renovation and equipping of the 23 general hospitals in the state, the renovation and construction of the science school citywide, and the complement. Other components include the construction of food acquisition centers, the building and equipping of smart schools in the federal constituencies, as well as construction and equipping of the Benue State University of Agriculture, Science and Technology, among others. The state chapter of the People's Democratic Party, through its public secretary, King Uyo, has recently condemned the House for approving the loan, saying that Aliya's administration had already received substantial revenues from federal allocations in the past 2 years. However, Aliya, through his media aide, Kula Cherso, fired back at the PDP accusing Autumn's administration of democratizing poverty by failing to pay salaries and pensions. Aliya described Autumn's 8th year in office as a colossal failure that left the state getting indebted and underdeveloped. For more details on that story, the Punch newspaper has it with the headline, Autumn Aliya paid words over Benue $100 billion loan. You're listening to IFR 1037 FM. We'll go on a with one from the continue the rest of the story. Glad to have you back. You're listening to IFR 1037 FM. And I'm taking this story from the point where we have FLORENCE renowned activist ADEKOYA now to be killed. Former presidential candidate and of the African Action Congress and convener of the Revolution Now movement, or more generally, SONA, as member of a renowned activist and secretary of the Joint Action Force of INIOLUWA. Who was also a leading voice in the pro-legal civil service society movement, was reportedly knocked down by a vehicle while crossing the road in residency of Southern State around 6 p.m. on Sunday. He was said to have been rushed to a nearby hospital, while their medical personnel made efforts to resuscitate him with oxygen, but he was later confirmed dead. The African development area in the post for its state on Sunday night described INIOLUWA as a revolutionary senior comrade and he mentioned the human rights activists said INIOLUWA's contribution to social justice and liberation struggles in Africa would not be forgotten. He wrote, such a year that the revolutionary senior comrade and mentor have brought him INIOLUWA as passed away. Yet we will distinguish with courage, wisdom, and unwavering commitment to justice and the liberation of the African continent. May his soul rest in power, and may his legacy continue to inspire the struggle of the freer, fair, and just world. For details of that story, we will continue to visit now the FLORENCE renowned activist at Sweden, on the Punch newspaper, until recovery, no plans for replacement, says presidency. And now here's the details. Minister of Finance and Coordination Minister of Economy, Mr. Wale Edin, is recuperating in his Abuja home after falling ill, and there are no plans by President Bola Tinubu to replace him. Multiple sources in the presidency confirmed to Newsman recently. Speaking with Newsman, a senior official who preferred not to be named because he was not authorized to speak publicly, dismissed rumors that the minister suffered a stroke or had been flown abroad for treatment. Yes, in the post, it is sick, which is a bit serious, but it is not so. The short stated. The source also stated, and I quote, "As I am talking to you is in the app. It has not been flown anywhere. Of course, you might seek medical attention elsewhere if the doctors say it is necessary. So it is not true that he has stroke. He does not have stroke, which is why we put in the statement that he is in the stroke." Another official confirmed that Edo is receiving care from Nigerian doctors and may seek medical attention abroad if need arises. For more details on that story, check the Punch newspaper weekly headline, Edo recovery, no plans for replacement, says proceedings. So very fast life in the prison, you can look on the article line where it will 655-24699, Also, to visit in all our social media handles, we have it as iPower1027FM, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and at iPower1027FM. And of course, you can show it from the front where I have spread of drug resistance, bacterial infection, rising, WHO1. The World Health Organization sounded the alarm on Monday over swelling number of drug-resistant bacterial infections, compromising the effectiveness of life-saving treatment and rendering minor injuries and common infections potentially deadly. The United Nations Health Agency warned that in 6 laboratories confirmed bacterial infection worldwide in 2023 showed resistance to antibiotic treatment. The findings are deeply concerning. Head of the WHO antimicrobial resistance department reported the antibiotic resistance continues to rise. We are running out of treatment options and we are putting life at risk. Bacteria have long developed resistance against medicines designed to fight them, rendering many of their drugs useless. These have been clearly evidenced by the massive use of antibiotics to treat human, animal, and food. Antimicrobial resistance superbugs because over a million deaths and continue to nearly 5 million deaths every year, according to the WHO. So details of that story, in the country people in the line, spread of drug resistance bacterial infection rising, WHO1. Still on the Punch newspaper, EBC slams Tinubu over pattern social trafficking. And now, the African Democratic Congress condemns President Bola Tinubu's recent effort to convicted drug traffickers and smugglers, stating the fact that the distinction undermines Nigeria's fight against narcotics and damages the country's international standards. In a statement signed by its National Public Secretary, Malam Bolaji Abdullahi, EDC warns that the clemency amounts to a most irresponsible abuse of the presidential power of prerogative of mercy. The presidency published a comprehensive list recently of 175 beneficiaries of the 2025 presidential pardon, including the late Marshal Herbert Macaulay, the late Major General Maman Basta, and Mariam Sanda, who was sentenced to death for murdering a husband. The pardon includes presidential clemency, which frees over 30 drug offenders and other people convicted of offenses ranging from homicide, illegal mining, and fraud. In a statement released recently, the Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Ononuga, defended the exercise as part of judicial clemency process that considers factors such as remorse, rehabilitation, and correction of historical wrongs. But the ADC argued that as the pardons reward criminality weaken the deterrent value of the law, and mock the sacrifices of security agencies battling for election. The more details on that story, check the Hotspot data weekly headline. NDC plans to review over the average in their country. Straight for the cable newspaper where I have this one. Amanda ABC Global Canyon Press and VW should do to do only one forward to governorship candidate of the African Democratic Congress previously in Anambra as one and a VW to serve only one term of 4 years if elected. Also the sport where Abu Dhabi's African High Court with Accra, the capital of Anambra, on Thursday. The ADC governorship candidate is from indefinite state to governorship among the three senatorial districts, who also promised to serve only one term to complete the tenure of the southern zone. He says, I am aware that the rotation of the office of the governor of Anambra State among the three senatorial zones, namely Anambra North, Anambra Central, and Anambra South, based on its history, natural justice, and good governance in Abu Dhabi State. That the southern senatorial zone currently occupying the seat of the governor of Anambra State has only one term of 4 years remaining of the term of office due to South Senatorial Zone, and thereafter its subdivision of Anambra Central Zone to nominate a candidate for the office of Governor of Anambra State for 8 years before the office was switched to the North Senatorial Zone. Speaking after the dispose of Abu Dhabi, who also said that 4 years is sufficient to transform the state. For details of that story, to the table newspaper with Vietnam, Anambra leadership global candidates were Abu Dhabi to be only one time. So on the Punch newspaper, APC group plans Bala Mohammed over PDP 2027 comeback claim. And now here's the details. A media and communication platform within the All Progressive Congress, the APC, is elected. As quoted a statement credited by Bauchi State Governor Bala Mohammed, suggesting that the People's Democratic Party will return to Asarok in 2027 amid the deal of destruction in Islam. Bala had expressed confidence that despite such destruction, especially the defections of its seating governor, the PDP would return to a winning seat in 2027. But the Group's Director General, INIOLUWA, in a recent statement in Uyo, described the comment as not only laughable, but a clear indication that Bala has not stuck with realities within the party. He noted that the party is not only sinking under the weight of its own contradiction, but also emanating its membership and moral authority nationwide. John said, and I think the APC media network finds this claim not only laughable, but also a clear indication that the governor is out of touch with political realities within the collapsing party. The PDP is not only sinking under the weight of its own contradiction, but is also emanating credibility, membership, and moral authority nationwide. He added that elections are not won by propaganda, but by performances, adding that the UNDP-led administration has repositioned Nigeria on the path of progress. For more details on that story, check the Punch newspaper with the headline, APC Group plans Bala Mohammed over PDP's 2027 comeback plan. And of course, straight to the Tribune where I have 9 is federal government over release of 4,000 inmates nominated. The National Association of Nigerian Students has commended the Minister of Interior Olufemi Tunji for its groundbreaking humanitarian initiative that secured the release of 4,068 inmates across correctional facilities nationwide. described it as a major step towards reforming Nigeria's criminal justice system and advancing President Bola Tinubu's renewed hope agenda. In a statement issued by its Assistant Secretary General, ADEKOYA, or Lateji Emmanuel, Nance lauded the Minister for what it stands the display of empathy, efficiency, and reform-driven governance. According to the association, the initiative funded to 585 million naira raised from private contributions was achieved at zero cost to the federal government and has already restored freedom, training, and reintegration opportunities to thousands of inmates who were held due to their ability to pay fines or their conditions. It states, through the double action, changing Ondo as restored hope of thousands of Nigerians and reaffirm the administration's commitment to remain and reform-oriented governance. Nine described the project as a clear demonstration of the renewed hope agenda in action, commending President Tinubu for appointing leaders with vision, compassion, and administrative excellence. The association further noted that the Imperial Minister's leadership continues to inspire the trust of the government and public institutions, emphasizing that this approach to reform aligns with the modern global practices in restorative justice. To the case of that, so we see the Tribune newspaper of Patriot Line, Nance failed federal government over release of 4,000 inmates. And the UK newspaper talking at this time, Tinubu government working no pay. And now to the details. The federal government has urged the academic staff union of universities last year to suspend its planned strike, warning that it will not only enforce the no work, no pay policy, it will actually pursue with the industrial action. The appeal was contained in a statement issued recently by Boli Owofolaṣadé, Director of Press and Public Relations at the Federal Ministry of Education. According to the statement, the Minister of Education, Magus Tunji Alausa, and the Minister of State for Education, Professor Suwaibu Said Ahmad, said the government has presented a comprehensive offer to actually addressing these issues raised by the union. They said the offer covers lecturers, welfare, working conditions, institutional governance, adding that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration has approved an enhanced teaching allowance to reflect the value of academic work and motivate university staff. For more details on that story, the Daily Post newspaper with the headline, Tinubu's government threatens no work, no pay. And still taking place from the Tribune where we have U.S. genocide debate passed by FT failure. Danger assumed says government discuss 2027 politics to national survival. Former presidential candidate and People's Democratic Party chieftain, Dr. Danger assumed, has debated the federal government over what he describes as its painfully political and dangerously unserious response to Nigeria's deepened insecurity crisis. Danger said the government's reaction to growing terrorist and bandit attacks has been driven more by propaganda and partisan consideration than the genuine commitment to protect citizens. He said the government takes the blood of innocent Nigerians like a campaign tactic. Danger lamented in a statement at the weekend, instead of confronting terrorists and bandits, they are busy using statements and blaming imaginary enemies. Government is not propaganda. The APC is more interested in securing PDP government ahead of 2027 than securing Nigeria. Rather than uniting the country, the APC is teaching the South against the North. The global energy entrepreneur said the recent move by the United States to consider placing Nigeria on a watch list of countries of concern over religious and security issues was a direct consequence of the government's failure to protect its citizens and confront terrorism with sincerity. Asim warned that if the current trend continues, terrorist network would establish parallel governments in part of the North Nigeria before 2027, with a North Central zone blaming the main battlefield. We accuse the political allies of being consumed by the race for 2027 elections instead of stabilizing the country. For details of that story, please review the newspaper weekly at night. U.S. genocide debate sparked by every failure, bringing a state government to serve 2027 politics in national survival. So on the Daily Post newspaper, this is October 31st, for jurisdiction ruling on Dangogo against Tinubu. Now, two procedures. The Federal High Court in Abuja established October 31st, 2025, to deliver a ruling on the issue of jurisdiction on a suit filed by former House of Representatives member Farah Dagogo, challenging President Bola Tinubu's constitutional authority to suspend democratically elected officials during the declaration of the emergency rule in Rivers State. The suit number FHC/CF/CF/50/2025 is as defendants the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Senate President Godswill Akpabio, the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Speaker of the House of Representatives President Abbas, and Vice Admiral Ibok Eke, who served as Rivers State Administrator during the emergency rule period. At a recent hearing, Counsel to the country, Babafemi Adekoya, adopted a written argument supporting the court's jurisdiction to entertain the matter, deciding that Justice James Omotoso, after taking submission from both parties, reserved a ruling and adjourned the matter until October 31st. For more details on that story, the report to the state on Harvard will be at 9:46 October 31st for jurisdiction ruling on Dangogo against Tinubu. Still taking stories from the past where I have found and over renovated schools in Hamburg. Now details. Keystone Bank Limited has handed over a fully renovated and equipped block of classrooms, administrative building, multipurpose hall, science laboratory, and classroom furniture system with secondary school in Anambra State. The project, executed as part of the bank's corporate social responsibility and commitment to educational development, was inaugurated on Saturday in a ceremony attended by the Anambra State Government, Professor top government officials, and senior board and management staff of the bank. Speaking at the event, Chairman of the Keystone Bank, Lady Dr. Ada Sekudohi, reaffirmed the bank's commitment to fostering social and educational progress across the country. She said, education is not just about building or infrastructure. It is about creating an environment where dreams can grow, ideas can flourish, and young people can realize their full potential. The project is a testament of the belief that the private sector has a vital role to play in national building. We are proud to be a part of the Anambra State educational story and remain committed to supporting similar transformative projects across Nigeria. For details of that story, see the Punch newspaper with the headline, Bank and over renovated schools in Anambra. also on the daily newspaper, young Nigerians are losing hope in the future of the country as it expresses concern. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar expressed concern that young Nigerians are losing hope in the country. Atiku said he feels deeply sad over Nigerians are lamenting about hatred for the local elections and bad governance. Posting on a social media handle, former Vice President said the youth became their desires cannot be attained by voters' apathy, making that 25% or 30% voters turn out in every election cycle, and it is not encouraging. For more details on that story, check the daily newspaper, which is about young Nigerians are losing hope in the future of the country as it expresses concern. So we go on the quick break to come back. When we come back, we give you a recap of the major headlines of today's story. We told you in the top of today's headlines today. APC system, co-meeting, fails IBHAREMAN for clearing pensioners handling taxation. We also informed you on the opening paper that the Windows Health Agency has uncovered worrying silent illness among pensioners. We also informed from the point that NADA demands clinical trials to approve adult products. So on the point, we informed you that also ACC is accused ability of IBM wanted amateur commander. And of course, from the point, we only read to you that why I did not see NFF over unpaid salary, says coalition. We informed you on the opening paper that after a declared previous nationwide trial. And of course, taking place from the point, we read to you that let the voters decide for details to Mali over Southeast presidency. On the country paper, they informed you that ABC has planned to rule over partners for drug trafficking. Similarly, from the point, we told you that Senate advocates keeping English inclusion in school curriculum. On the daily newspaper, they informed you that Tinubu's government has threatened no work military. Also, from the point, we read to you that spread of drug resistant bacterial infection rising, WHO. We informed you on the daily newspaper that Atiku expressed concerns that the young Nigerians are losing hope in the future of the country. And lastly, from my resolution, to clear that 9 federal government already released 4,000 inmates. We told you finally